Welcome to Signal Unlocked, streaming globally. I'm Maiken. I'm a Senior Virtual Events Manager here at Twilio. We are thrilled you're here because today we are sharing some of the most significant product launches in Twilio history. The digital communication landscape is fundamentally shifting. We are moving beyond software we just use into an era of systems that act. Welcome to the agentic era. To help you build for this new reality, we are introducing a new generation of building blocks designed to turn disconnected interactions into one continuous, personalized customer relationship. Today, we are diving deep into Conversation Memory, Conversation Orchestrator, Conversation Intelligence, and Twilio Agent Connect. To help unpack all of this, we have two Twilio experts in the studio with us. Ben is going to break down why this matters and the real business value it drives, and Nathaniel is going to show you exactly how to turn those ideas into code that runs your engagement. But before we get into the technical deep dive, let's set the stage. We're going to take you back to the main stage at Signal San Francisco to hear from Twilio CEO Cosima Shipchandler. He is going to ground us in the sheer scale of the last year and explain why the Twilio platform is not just software, it is essential infrastructure. Let's head to the stage as Cosima sets up one of the largest releases in company history.
Now, I want to kick things off by zooming out for a moment and starting with one simple number. 2.7 trillion moments where you needed to reach someone else and it had to work. A payment confirmation, lab results delivered, a ride that's here, a mobile key that unlocks your room. You don't think about what's behind those moments, and that's the point. When it works, it's invisible. But when it doesn't, that's the only thing you remember. For 17 years, being that invisible infrastructure has been our job. 180 countries, 4,800 carrier relationships, 262 billion messages, 38 billion voice calls, 2.4 trillion emails, and on top of all of that, 10.8 trillion data API calls. We abstract that complexity so you never have to think about it. And we make it easy to get your business up and running and so you can grow your business. And by all accounts, you are growing your businesses. Forrester recently did some research and they analyzed how you all are using our platform. And what they found is that actually the more you use the Twilio platform, the better the ROI. 190%, $12.5 million of NPV, 6 months or less payback. Look, I can tell you as a former CFO, those are super meaningful numbers. And at that scale, something else becomes clear. This is not just software. This is infrastructure, physical, regulated, deeply operational. You cannot prompt engineer a carrier agreement. You cannot AI your way through the complexity of 180 countries all over the world. And you cannot fake the reliability that's required to power billions of critical moments every single day. Our infrastructure has always ensured that those critical moments just work the way that you expect and need them to. Now, when we first started Twilio, something as simple as making a call or sending a text message, that created a real sense of wonder. It was new. Now, it's just expected. It works, and you don't even have to think about it. But while all of those trillions of different data points have been running in the background, we have absolutely not been standing still. As a matter of fact, we've been rebuilding and expanding what Twilio is, so we can take on a whole new set of problems and create a new kind of wonder in terms of what's possible. And that shift is obviously not just happening in a vacuum. It's being driven by something much, much bigger. Because fundamentally, the world has changed. For the first time in the history of communication, not every participant in a conversation is an actual human being. In fact, by 2029, there could be 1 billion AI agents operating inside of enterprises, each one designed to talk to your customers. That is not a workforce that you hire. That's a workforce that appears almost overnight. And every single one of those agents, they need infrastructure to communicate, to verify who it is, and to prove what it did. So let's take a simple example, a delayed flight. So I don't know about you guys, but this happens to me all the time. So just a few weekends ago, I was trying to get to Palm Springs to see Coachella. That's true. That's a true story. I have an 18-year-old daughter, too, so we all, Our flight was delayed 3 hours. So, bummer, we missed Sabrina Carpenter and Madonna. Yeah, right. So let me break down what happened. First of all, I got a click notification that my flight was delayed. Then I got another one an hour later, delayed again. So I walk up to the desk to try to rebook, but that line is packed. So I end up calling support to understand my options, while at the same time, I've got to adjust our ride to get to the concert. I've got to cancel dinner. I've got to coordinate with the hotel for a late booking. So I'm juggling all of it, bouncing between apps and phone calls, and basically an hour of my life disappears and a lifetime of frustration emerges. Now, the expectation in the new world is that all of that's handled for you, because there's an agent behind the scenes that's actually coordinating all of it. So you get on a new flight, your hotel gets updated, your ride gets rescheduled without you having to chase anything down. No hold music, no lines, no stress. And it all just works. And when it works like that, it almost feels like magic. That is not a feature improvement. That is a fundamental change in what an experience can be. Think about what that actually means, and not just for travel. A patient who never has to repeat their history again. A fraud call that resolves itself before you even feel the stress. Or what about like a small business owner who wakes up in the morning to find that a bunch of conversations with their customers are already handled overnight? Personal, accurate, and most importantly, done. It used to be you doing the work, or workflows trying to predict it. It used to be searching and navigating. Now there's an agent who can do the understanding, the deciding, and the acting. So you don't search, you ask. You don't navigate, you say what you need, and it actually happens on the other side. And in turn, the whole world becomes conversational. Because we're actually at the beginning of something that we don't even fully have the language for just yet. But the builders in this room, you all are going to define it. Now, the industry has spent the last 3 years absolutely racing to make AI smarter. But the thing is, intelligence alone does not solve real problems, because intelligence without context is just guesswork. And intelligence without orchestration just ends up being noise. And the most important technology companies of the next decade will not necessarily just be the ones who build the best models, but they will be the ones who build the infrastructure that every single model depends on in the real world. This moment in time demands a new kind of infrastructure, one that makes every conversation continuous, contextual, and personal across every channel and every participant, whether that's a human being or an AI agent. And it has to be open, not a walled garden. You bring your own models, you bring your own data, you bring your own stack. Because the future will not be built upon rip and replace. Instead, it's going to be built on flexibility and neutrality, on systems that work with what you already have and actually make it better. And the thing is, that's how we've always built Twilio. Builder first, extensible by design, with channels that sit close to the data and infrastructure that you can trust at global scale. So you decide what you want, and we help you get there. And that's what makes Twilio uniquely positioned to power this next generation of customer engagement. Now, 17 years ago, we bet that every developer would need a way to be able to reach people. Turns out we were right. But today, we're making a much, much bigger bet that every agent will need the same thing. And the people who build that future are in this room. So today, we're launching the next generation of the Twilio platform. This is one of the largest releases in the history of this company. Not an update, not an iteration. This is a fundamentally new foundation for how businesses engage their customers in the age of AI.
Welcome back. As Christina shared, businesses are no longer just connecting people. We are coordinating intelligence across channels, systems, and autonomous AI agents. The big question is, how do you actually build this? How do you maintain context across every channel without the system breaking down? That is exactly what Ben and Nathaniel are here to answer. They are going to show you the infrastructure behind every magical customer moment. Over to you two.
Thanks, Maiken. Hey everyone, I'm Ben Datlin, a Senior Enterprise Architect here at Twilio.
And I'm Nathaniel Akenwa, Developer Evangelist at Twilio. It is an exciting time to be a builder right now because we get to bring the future that Code talked about in his keynote and bring it to reality.
And we're going to show you the infrastructure behind every magical customer moment. Today, we're going to show you how building in this agentic era looks like for the fictional company Our Bank.
Now, Our Bank is a digital-first financial institution. They're doing a lot of things right and have built out really, really good communications across different channels. But I think they can be better.
So we'll follow Our Bank as they enter the agentic era, where businesses are moving from software we use to autonomous systems that act. But there's a massive problem, and we call that the conversation gap. For 20 years, digital communication has been treated in isolated transactions. Every interaction starts from zero. Your customers talk to you across SMS, WhatsApp, voice, and chat, but your systems don't talk to each other. They're fragmented and they're siloed. Before we show you the solution, Nathaniel is going to show you exactly what this looks like today. The broken reality your customers are living with right now.
All right, let's do this. We are going to meet a customer of our bank, Robert Tables. Now, Robert is not just any customer, he's a premier customer. He's been with the bank for many years and is really, really highly valued. And he's about to get on a plane to go on holiday, like we all do. But there is a problem. He has just noticed in his banking app that there is some fraudulent activity going on. Now, I'm going to act as Robert for today, and let's see what his experience looks like right now. He checks in his app, he notices that there's an alert, and he opens the chat support. He lets them know what's going on. But unfortunately, while he could secure his mobile login, he couldn't actually sort the problem out. Next, he gets a notification over SMS to let him know that there has been some fraudulent activity, asking him if he's authorized it. Now, he's about to board the plane and he's not going to have phone network. So he presses no, but he's not sure what happened with that. But while he's on the plane, he connected via WhatsApp to try and follow up and see what happened with that fraud alert. He gets a piece of notification back telling that he should phone in and it's starting again from scratch. So finally he decides to call in, and let's see what happens when he's landed and he calls in.
Thank you for calling our bank. Your call is very important to us. For account balance, press 1. For recent transactions, press 2. For fraud and disputes, press 3. To speak with an agent, press 4. To repeat this menu, press 0.
You can see that every single time he switched channels, he started from scratch. That whole experience was very, very disjointed. And although our bank has an amazing job of having so many channels available, none of them were aware of that context. And that's a big problem that lots of organizations are dealing with today.
Thanks, Nathaniel. And as Nathaniel said, this is the world we're fixing. What you just saw is what it costs you in customer satisfaction, in repeated effort, in customer trust every single day. So today, we're walking through how our bank uses Twilio's new platform to close that gap. We'll follow a customer journey in 3 phases, showing you how to dramatically improve customer satisfaction, avoid vendor lock-in, and safely deploy AI. Nathaniel's going to show the code and the how, and I'll show you the why it matters to your business. So let's go.
Awesome. Let's start by bringing all of those conversations together.
Before you can orchestrate complex AI workflows, you need a unified foundation. If you deploy AI on broken, siloed infrastructure, intelligence without orchestration is just noise. So phase 1, we'll start with One Console. This is the new front door to Twilio. It's a single workspace where builders can manage every product and channel all in one place. Behind that, our bank uses Conversation Orchestrator to coordinate multi-channel routing and handoffs to humans, and Conversation Memory to maintain persistent customer context. The business value? Well, this is the end of agent amnesia. Your customers never repeat themselves when they switch channels or call the business back. For business leaders, this means dramatically better CSAT without adding headcount. This allows engineers to focus on logic, not on brittle integrations. You stop paying teams to build pipes, and you start building features that really differentiate your business from the rest, whilst driving real return on investment. Nathaniel, why don't you show us how our bank unifies these channels in one console?
I'm glad to do so. Well, it all starts with Conversation Orchestrator. Remember all of those different channels and how they were all separate interactions? Conversation Orchestrator allows you to bring all of those by a customer profile into one channel. So you can see all of those different channels talking together into one conversation. We're going to very, very quickly create a new configuration. And we're going to group these conversations. You can group them by profile with a unique identifier, or you can have Twilio automatically group them by address. For example, if a customer texts you and phones you, that is one customer, and Twilio will group those two conversations together. We can then choose which phone numbers we want to attach to this service. And we can also add voice traffic to be automatically captured over certain phone numbers. And last, we can specify a closed state. Now, closed state is going to become important later. And this is usually when the conversation is ending. Maybe it's a 15-minute timeout. You might do something more. And then we're going to connect it to a memory store. We're going to create a new one. And the memory store is one that is going to hold on to all of the information from the profile of our customer. And I'm going to turn on observations and summaries. Observations and summaries are really useful because when that conversation closes after that timeout, observations and summaries goes and looks at that conversation across all of those different channels and then summarizes it and gives us observations to add to the profile. All right. Now we have a conversation configuration. One thing that we need is to go and add our profile of Robert to the conversation memory. We can configure custom traits and identifiers. These are the things you want to remember about your customer. I'm going to quickly upload a CSV, and this CSV will have all of the information that our bank needs for Robert. As you can see, it has his contact information ready, but then it also has some custom traits, like the fact that he's a high net worth premier customer, his relationship manager, and his preferred language. And just like that, we now have a customer profile of Robert in our bank's memory store that can be used in all of the conversations that happen. So let's replay the interaction we just did. Now remember how all of those apps were disconnected? Because all of those different flows, IVRs and chats are all connected to the memory store, they are aware of all of the conversations that happened on every other channel. So it starts once again in the app, but this time when we switch to WhatsApp, it actually knew the conversation that we'd had on SMS already. And then if we give it a phone call this time,
Hello, Robert. We see you just rejected a wire transfer via text. If that is what your call is about, press 1. For anything else, press 2.
now instead of just opening with a generic entry, it actually called out Robert by name and also noted that there was a fraud alert and asked if that's what he wanted to talk about. So much more context running through that conversation.
Wow, what a difference already. So now that our bank has persistent memory, they're ready to deploy AI to handle routine requests like checking loan status or upgrading accounts, that kind of thing. But here's the trap. The AI landscape is shifting so fast, and you can't afford to lock into a single vendor model that becomes obsolete in 6 months. Well, that's where Twilio Agent Connect comes in. It's a provider-agnostic bridge between the agent of your choice and Twilio's communication stack. You can think of it as a bring-your-own large language model solution. Under the hood, Conversation Relay streams tokens from your AI agent in real time, so customers don't have to wait for a full response. It eliminates latency. And the business value, well, First, you avoid vendor lock-in. You maintain a flexible stack where you can swap the brain of your AI whenever a better model drops, which happens very regularly. Second, you lower the cost to serve. Autonomous agents handle tier 1 inquiries with complete full context, which means issues resolve instantly without a human ever touching them. So, Nathaniel, let's see how our bank connects their custom AI agent with Agent Connect.
Awesome. We've already actually seen Agent Connect interacting, but let's actually see that happen over a phone call. Remember, Twilio Agent Connect allows you to use all of those powerful parts of Conversation Orchestrator memory all connected, and then you can even deploy it over voice. So let's see what a phone call looks like between Robert and the AI agent where he's concerned about his fraud call.
Hello, how can I assist you today?
Hello. Look, I'm calling because I rejected that $2,500 wire alert on SMS and I messaged you guys on WhatsApp. Has that money left my account yet?
Mr. Tables, no. Owl Bank successfully paused the $2,500 wire transfer, so the funds have not left your account. To unfreeze the account, I need to complete a secure digital verification step with you. When you are ready, say ready, and I will send a secure push notification to your Owl Bank mobile app. You will then tap approve there, and I can proceed.
Okay, give me a moment. Let me open up the app.
Of course, Mr. Tables. Take your time. Once you have the Owl Bank app open and you are ready, just say ready, and I will send the secure push notification for approval.
Okay, I'm ready.
Thank you, Mr. Tables. I am sending the secure push notification to your Owl Bank mobile app now. Please tap approve there, and then let me know once it is confirmed.
And I've approved it.
Thank you, Mr. Tables. Your verification is complete, and the account is now unfrozen. The $2,500 transfer remains paused and has not left your account.
Thank you so much.
You are very welcome, Mr. Tables. I am glad we could secure this quickly for you. If you would like, I can also help you review any other recent activity or set up additional fraud alerts.
No, I'm good. Bye.
And yeah, just like that, his fraud alert has been resolved by an AI agent in super quick time.
Wow, thanks, Nathaniel. That's amazing. Automation is incredible for efficiency, but what happens when things go wrong? In banking, a lost card or a fraud alert is a high-stress situation. Intelligence without identity and governance creates risk. So in phase 3, we're using conversation intelligence to monitor the AI in real time with automated generative AI operators. If the customer mentions fraud or sentiment turns negative, the system triggers a seamless human escalation. The customer gets routed to a human agent in Twilio Flex who already has the full transcript and all of the context they need. And this is a warm handoff, not a cold restart. And the business value? Well, this is how you achieve safe, responsible AI deployment. You put guardrails around autonomous systems, so high stakes, high empathy moments always escalate to a human being. This guarantees system stability, and it protects your brand whilst proving your infrastructure is reliable, even when the stakes are at their highest. So Nathaniel, why don't you bring us home with intelligence and the human handoff?
Sure. There are so many conversations that you are having with your customers, and there are so many times that you want to react to what's happening, and you can do that at scale with conversation intelligence. So in this case, we could use it, for example, to check if a call is going down the wrong path and escalate that, take that to a human. We could also use it to monitor human conversations and make sure that they are sticking to a script and giving those customers the best experience. Why don't we set this up right now for the experience Robert just had with an AI agent? First, we go and we take our conversation intelligence configuration. And with this, we can create some rules. Rules are the different language operators that you may want to do. Now, we have some built-in ones with Twilio. Sentiment, which checks the sentiment of a conversation. Summary, which summarizes what happens in that conversation. And some of my favorites, which is the next best response. This uses information from your enterprise knowledge to predict what a good answer could be in the future. This could be really, really helpful for making sure that things stay on the right path. And then we have script adherence. This is able to take scripts that you give it and make sure that an agent is sticking to it. You can also create some custom operators as well. Why don't we add these ones to them? We'll just set them up automatically and then add a trigger. Now you could have this trigger at a conversation end, when a conversation's moved to inactive after a little bit, or you can even set a custom frequency. I'm going to do this at every conversation. This is not just every text message or every message, this is even every utterance on a phone call. This intelligence operator is going to run. And then I'm going to have it send send its payload to a custom URL at a web. Last but not least, you can also enable customer memory so that the intelligence operator also has all of that rich context observations and summaries that we had in conversation memory available as well. Okay, now I have connected my webhook so that if the sentiment score drops below a certain value, and also if fraud is mentioned, the AI agent automatically will escalate to a human. What we're going to see is two phases in this next phone call. We're going to see an AI agent taking Robert's call again, but this time Robert's going to be a bit angrier. And then we're going to watch that get escalated to a human, and we're going to see the warm transfer notes that that human gets, indicating what's happened on the phone call so far. And then last but not least, we're going to see live intelligence operators on the agent screen that show the agent some of these operations happening in real time.
Hello, how can I assist you today?
Hey, I just want to check. I sent an SMS and messaged you guys on WhatsApp. Has that money left my account yet?
Mr. Tables, I'm glad you reached out. I can see you came from SMS into WhatsApp and then called from inside that thread. The good news is we successfully paused the $2,500 wire transfer, so it has not left your account.
Okay, but there's a problem. My account's frozen, but I need my rent to come out of that account tonight. So I need some help. I need to speak to a human or do something else.
Please hold while I connect you to a fraud specialist who already has your full case details.
Hello, Mr. Tables. Thank you for holding. My name is Sarah. I see here on my dashboard that our AI assistant successfully blocked that $2,500 fraudulent wire for you. But I understand you're worried about your scheduled rent payment bouncing tomorrow morning. Let's make sure that doesn't happen.
Yes, please. I'm glad I didn't have to explain that to you again. Yes, exactly. My rent is $2,000 and it's automated to clear out of that exact account at midnight. And if my account is flagged or blocked because of this, I'm terrified it's going to bounce and ruin my credit rating.
I see the exact pending ledger item right here on my screen, Mr. Tables. Please don't worry. Because you've been a valued Premier member with us since 2014, I have just applied an immediate temporary liquidity waiver to your profile. This bypasses the fraud restriction specifically for this transaction. Your rent will clear perfectly at midnight, and your credit score is entirely protected.
Okay, that is an absolute lifesaver, Sarah. Honestly, my heart was in my throat when I got that original text alert. What happens next with my account?
Well, we permanently killed that fraudulent $2,500 wire, so those funds are completely secure. As a next step, I've already alerted your dedicated relationship manager, Charles Montgomery. He will follow up with you first thing on Monday morning to issue you a brand new, secure, premium debit card and review your security settings.
Brilliant. This is incredible service. Thank you so much for sorting this out so quickly on a Friday evening.
It's entirely my pleasure, Mr. Tables. We're just glad we caught it fast for you. Have a wonderful, relaxing, and secure weekend. And thank you for banking with Owl Bank.
Thanks, Sarah. Bye now.
We can see in the contact center that we have the transcripts available of the agent's conversation. We also have sentiment and summary auto-generated, as well as a brief, which was a handover from that conversation from the AI agent. We also had conversation intelligence operators running so that we could see some of those summaries and that script adherence at play. And with that, we are able to combine intelligence to make sure that we are guiding AI agents and human agents throughout the course of a customer's journey to make sure that that customer's journey is awesome.
Wow, that's such an improved customer journey. Thanks so much, Nathaniel. What you just saw wasn't 3 separate products. It was one continuous thread. We moved from text to an AI voice agent to a live human agent in the contact center, and the customer never felt the gap. This is the invisible bridge between operational complexity and seamless customer experience. By deploying these tools, you're not just adopting AI, you're building the infrastructure to scale it responsibly, whilst driving return on investment and making every customer feel known. So that's it for the technical deep dive. Hopefully you found this interesting. Now we're going to hand you back over to Maiken.
Thanks, Ben. It is one thing to see the technical deep dive here in the studio, but it is another entirely to see it deployed at a massive global scale. Next, we're heading back to the Signal stage for an incredible 10-minute session with one of the world's most recognized brands, Nestlé. If you are looking for a real-world blueprint on how to turn isolated interactions into continuous, personalized relationships, this is the benchmark you need to see. Let's take a look.
Hello, everyone. Wow, you look great from here. My name is Anna. I am product manager in Nestlé. And I lead a very big team called data-driven marketing. But my main job is to make sure that we enable relevant conversations with our consumers, with the main intent to help influence and trust, and mainly choice, the choice of choosing our products. Chris already introduced it. I work in a huge company, and I represent a lot of brands. In the screen, you see a sample of those, and I'm sure that you will recognize them. And if you just pay small attention to it, what you'll note is that they're brands of multiple categories: healthcare, nutrition, pet care, coffee, and we have chocolates as well. It's a beautiful opportunity for me to lead that, but let's face it, scale is our challenge. It's a huge challenge because there's not just a lot of brands, but also a lot of markets, a lot of regulations, different digital maturities, and different needs that answer as well to different cultural realities. So what I'm going to talk today, it's not only about technology. It's about how do we enable journeys that can create value and influence on trust and choice. Let me go back 1 second, because when I started in Nestlé, it happened 9 years ago already. We managed marketing in a different way than today. We capture data of our consumers, and what we did is try to talk to them in the different channels that we had. And that worked great, right? Because we were sending them messages, we were personalizing the text, the images based on what we knew. But we were managing all communications per channel. And then as technology evolved, and especially as consumer expectations evolved, we understood, consumers do not experience our brands in channels. They experience one single reality. So this is where we understood that what we needed to do was connect all the different signals together, all the different signals of our consumers together, and create one single foundational understanding of them, one single foundational layer that could help us really understand our consumers and then adapt the journeys across channels with that knowledge. And I tend to always talk about technical jargon, but honestly, a bit of the reflection that we're making lately is why digital conversations need to be so different from real conversations. There's no need for that anymore, because technology allows us to not be it so differently. So when you talk to someone, you do not actually reset the conversation every time that you talk to them. It would be feeling very weird. Every time I meet you, I need to ask you again. Resetting doesn't work. It's not OK to ignore what we already know of our consumers. So 3 key words for us is it's important to, as any communication, to listen our consumers. Remember what they told you, and make sure that the next communication that you send them, it's adapted based on that context that you had, like real conversations. So don't reset every interaction. Make sure it builds on top. I'm going to try to just make the point with an illustration, because you can go about it in 2 different ways. You can approach a conversation in 2 different ways. I'm just going to explain the old sales pitch, kind of the old way of doing it, and then another way. So I'm going to put you in a situation. We're going to be in a pharmacy for a second, and there's going to be a couple coming into that pharmacy that just had recently a baby. And there's going to be a sales rep in that pharmacy. Hi, hello, how are you? Look, I have this great product here with me. It was done with the best ingredients. It's recommended by experts. And you know what? There's an offer today. Good. So the consumer may buy that, may not buy it. OK, and they will leave. The next time that the consumer arrives in that pharmacy, in this case, it's the same conversation. That doesn't change. Now let me put you another scenario. And we're going to call that kind of the relationship, the emotional-driven approach. We have that same couple walking into that pharmacy, and there's that same sales rep. But then, instead of focusing on selling the product, there's a focus on getting to know the consumer and building trust. So how would that work is, hello. Oh, I see that you had a baby. How old is he? Oh, how are you feeling? Do you need maybe a bit of support in certain areas? How can I support you? Then at that moment, the conversation starts becoming contextual to what the consumer is telling that sales rep. And it starts to impact on starting to create a relationship. So this is to tell you, the 2 options are valid, but if you choose the second one, what you are investing is on creating trust. And trust is what creates value, because let's be clear. The consumer will be standing another time, and the next time, in front of the shelf, and at some moments, you don't have a sales rep. You don't have a sales rep when the consumer needs to make that choice. And if you have chosen the second path, the emotional way, the consumer will choose you. This is what sets you apart. Choice happens when no one is watching. And the theme of the session was scale. I was telling you that's a big challenge, right? But with this truth, this is like a principled universe that works across. So enable those foundations and let signals travel freely to help create that. Listen, remember, adapt. And ultimately respect the consumer, because that's what will pay off. And for sure, it's easy to explain that with one single example, like one very simple scenario. But how do you do that at scale across hundreds of brands and markets? It is hard. It would be hard without Twilio, for sure, but we have them. We have their help. We have gotten their help to capture data at scale from many, many sources. Declarative data, behavioral data, engagement data, cases data, all passing and stitch the same identity. And that helped us create a data foundation that we benefit from then after to orchestrate the relationship with the consumer across channels. So thank you for that. Thank you for Segment in this case, and thank you for helping us as well on the activation side.
And that is a wrap on our first ever Signal Unlocked. We have covered a massive amount of ground today, from the dawn of the agentic era to the launch of Conversation Memory, Conversation Orchestrator, Conversation Intelligence, and Twilio Agent Connect, right through to seeing it all deployed in the real world. As builders, you want the freedom to build your vision of a better future. And with the Twilio platform, you have the infrastructure to make that happen. It is time to stop thinking about isolated transactions and start building continuous, intelligent conversations. Thank you so much for tuning in. We cannot wait to see what you build next.